start. Hi all, this is second cycle of my thought-provoking conversation, and I'm excited that today with me and with you is Ozrenka Kadrić, and I would like to ask her in the beginning, who is Ozrenka, and if you can say a little bit about yourself and how do you perceive yourself.
Thank you, Mirela. Thank you for this invitation to participate in this thought-provoking conversation. I also say hi all. Yeah, how do you say greetings in English? Ozrenka, yeah, my name is Ozrenka. The truest answer would be I don't know who is Ozrenka. For me, that's how that's the truest true for me right now. The more I work with people and the more I get to know myself, I see that there are so many things that I don't know about myself. And what I do know is that I am, for example, my name means cheerful. I'm cheerful. That's how I see myself usually. I am insightful. That's also one of the meanings of my name. I'm curious. I'm an explorer, and yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to explore new dimensions, and that's what I like to do most. That's one of my favorite things, actually. Yeah, that's it for now.
So, what do you do? What's your main focus in your professional work? I mean, we usually connect many different things, but what's your main thing that you do in your life?
I'm a psychologist. That's my primary professional identity, and my focus is, of course, humans. I work with people, and I do counseling, lately mostly one-on-one. So that's my main focus at the moment. And of course, behind it all, I study. I am involved in different educations, so I also do some trainings and workshops. At this moment, it's mostly online, which is a big challenge for me, because I love group work. I love the energy and the atmosphere of this group dynamics. So that's also something I really love to do. I love to work with youth. And but I yeah, humans. So I don't have like a specific target group that I work with, but some of my teams are I focus on some teams that are maybe most beneficial to youth, women, but again, humans in general.
So, do you remember how old were you when you started to be interested in psychology? And how that happened? I mean, do you remember what kind of surrounding you were then, and what were you thinking? Like, why psychology?
I actually studied archaeology and English, but after 1 year or even less, I realized, okay, this is not my thing. Especially archaeology, I definitely wasn't interested in stones. That's how I perceived it back then. But I loved studying history. But So yeah, I decided to study psychology when I was around 19, 20. And I think how I see it today, I think I inspired myself. It was part of my quest for truth. It was part of my so these years when it comes to adolescence, you're trying to find answers to these difficult questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? What's my purpose, etc. So I think that psychology was just one of the strategies I used to find answers in this path I was walking, and it was a good strategy. Because only at like third or second, third year I realized, okay, this okay, I like this. This is because I didn't know what was psychology, honestly, but it really was. I was just inspired by humans. That's my biggest interest. Like what moves us. So psychology means actually in etymology of the word is psyche. It's soul. So for me, it was a soul search, and it was just a way of trying to find some answers about why humans behave the way we behave. Why are we like this? So it was an interesting quest, and I'm still walking this path. But it's an inspirational journey, definitely, because I'm always inspired by how amazing we are as humans and as human beings.
I would like to return back on your first answer, and where you said that you now doing the most of your workshops online. So I'm wondering, because you said you feel that energy when you do workshop in a room with the people. How do you manage to feel that energy online? Is there anything you particularly look at, or is there anything that is missing? I mean, of course, a lot of things are missing when you do things online. But how do you feel that kind of energy when you do workshops online?
Let's dig in some physics. Let's dig up some things that are a part of that field. Maybe everything is energy. So information is energy. So every word we say, every gesture we made, every movement, every this background we have, a place you live in, the way you approach to this thing, computer, laptop, mic, it's this relationship we have with all that surrounds us and that is within, it all comes out. So the energy is not missing. It's here, and you see it, you feel it, you it's something that shows up when we connect, when we are present, when we are aware, when we look, when we hear. So we have these senses, we have these organs of what's the word in English? We just know. It's something that comes up as information. So we go with that. We go with we go with what we have. Of course, when we work in a different setting, when we are in a room with people, we just have more information, and that's it. We just gain more information. We feel different. We see more. We actually see more. So that's something that helps us to have a better connection. But so we just have these challenges nowadays when we are working online, when we are doing this anything that we do online, but it can be managed, it can be facilitated in a way to have connection also, and to share something meaningful within that connection.
So when you do workshops online, do you think that you as a person who is leading that kind of workshop is even more subtle, like feeling some kind of subtle energy that you need to follow, like maybe observe a little bit more, because you now have you said that you have more information when you are in a room with people, but now you have if I can break down few things that that are information, like visual language that you see on a screen, and second is maybe words, then you can almost like count down every word that people who are participating are saying or writing. So my question is, do you feel like you are more in a moment when you are doing online workshops, because you have to be as focused as possible to manage that kind of workshops? I mean, I can answer you later what I experienced in online. So, but I'm wondering, what's your experience?
Definitely, that's one of the advantages of this online work. It challenges to be present, to be more present. That's why many people have these challenges with working online, and they shut down their camera and have these difficulties to follow through an hour or so. It is more challenging because, yes, as you said, it asks us to be present and to be more focused, which is a challenge for many for this generation and this time that we're living in now. So it might be more exhausting, but maybe definitely it also depends on the type of the learner we are, whether we are visual learner, auditive. So yeah, visual and the sense. For example, if somebody likes to, if somebody's, I'm for example, I'm kinesthetic learner. I need movement. So that's why maybe this is so challenging for me, because I love to move. I experience through, for me, learning is doing, and this is more challenging for me maybe, and for someone who is visual or auditive, it's not so much of a challenge. So it also depends on that. And I wish to hear your experience.
So for myself, I experienced that I'm really exhausted after each session. It's almost like it eats my brain. But in another way, it opened for me new spaces to think about, to maybe learn about, and maybe even exercise new things. And this comes also because I'm surrounded with many IT engineers, so I became really interested in data. So because I believe that you can really analyze more things when you do in a different way. When you are in a room, you can feel some kind of that energy of the body. I mean, I believe that when you close to another person, you feel that energy. But when you do online, you have to observe words and pictures and maybe voice and maybe even that kind of musicians could know more about that. That everything about voice, like tune, how to say that, different, almost like colors of the voices, and all that things were really new for me. So it's really different experience, but for myself, it's exhausting. I figure out, and I can do only maybe 2 meetings per day online. If I do 3, it's really I don't know, I cannot do anything after that. So that was my experience, but in a way it's good because you can connect with the almost whole world. So I hope
it's so interesting. I see what you see. It's a challenge to be present in a way that we are challenged to observe what is. So this practice, just being online, it's pushing us back to the present moment. It actually helps us to be more in the body and less in the mind, because when we start to think, we are away, we're not here anymore. When we start to just imagine things or fly away in our thoughts somewhere, so we just have to come back all the time. And it actually shows us how far away we are from our bodies, from ourselves. It shows us how how much we live in illusions, and how far away we are from what is, from this perceptual truth, let's call it like that. And it's a good thing to practice our perception and attention, of course, because it's really important skill to manage our attention.
Can we talk a little bit about, because you are a psychologist, I'm interested in mental capacity. So can you maybe in your own words explain what is mental capacity for people maybe who are not so familiar with that topic? Because we hear around ourselves like well-being, feeling good, optimistic, pessimistic, but what's mental capacity? How do you explain that to people?
It's a space to explore. We call it intelligence, right? But we have different sorts of intelligence. And nowadays, in the past, IQ was very much emphasized. Nowadays, we emphasize emotional intelligence and spatial intelligence. So it's just yes, it's a space we can explore, and it's endless. This mental capacity, it's difficult for me to find words to express it, because the only thing that I associate with it at this moment is this endless capacity to learn and to learn. So what is important, that we have this research nowadays about neuroplasticity and the possibility of expanding our capacity to learn and our capacity to develop our different regions in the brain And even we don't, when we talk about mental capacity, of course, we focus on our brain capacity, but we can also speak about our ability to regenerate and about resilience, actually. So maybe mental capacity can be, it is definitely connected with resilience and our capacity to get up after we have a difficulty or a challenge and find new ways to manage difficulties and all the challenges we humans face.
So when we talk about stress and maybe even trauma in our lives, so how do you so my question would be, how do you distinguish between stress and trauma, but also what does it mean feeling good in our bodies and not feeling good? I believe that people who are coming to you to have a conversation about maybe their feelings or experience, they usually come to you when they are not feeling good. It's maybe my question would be, first, can you explain what is stress and what is trauma in maybe simpler words? So how we can, when we experience some difficulties, how we can maybe put that in a box, not feeling that we are traumatized, but maybe a little bit stressful.
Stress is tension. It's a term from, I think, also physics. So it's just tension. We feel it as tension in the body, in the mind. So it happens when we perceive, when there's an event or something happens, and we just perceive that we don't have the capacity to deal with it. We don't have enough resources, so we our body tense, we have this reaction. But when it comes to stress, we usually manage to find resources. When it comes, everybody, everything can be perceived as stress, and different people perceive different things as stressful. That's important, because something that is stressful for one thing is not stressful for another thing. And this is important because it's different when it comes to trauma. Because when it comes to trauma, it's everybody has a reaction. For example, we had earthquakes lately, and that's an example of an event that provokes these different adaptive mechanisms in our body, so we can adjust. And it depends of many things. If a person has these risk factors, for example, if a person lives in if during this time after traumatic event a person doesn't have enough support to come back to this balanced state of being, then we call it, we say, okay, this person has some sort of trauma. So this is the main difference, let's say it like that, when it comes to trauma, it's too much. We just usually perceive it as something too big to handle, too much, too soon. When it comes to stress, it's usually something that is less of a burden for our adaptive mechanisms. We come back to our regular to our balanced state of being very soon. It's important to emphasize that these experiences help us grow, of course, because when we don't have, for example, when we perceive that we don't have enough resources, then what it would be a good strategy is to learn, to find new resources, to connect with different people, to explore new things, these what did you say, like feelings that are not pleasant. I don't know which word that you use. Yeah, they are also important. They have their function. Fear help us to protect ourselves. Anger helps us to change. It's a good it's an energy that moves us in the direction of changing some things. Sadness helps us to connect with different parts of ourselves or with other people. So these emotions are there for a reason. The important thing is to find strategies that are efficient, that are healthy, to help us find our way to freedom. Let's call it like that. That's what people when they come to ask for support. When they have some difficulties, they usually say, I want to be calm, I want to be playful, I want to be regulated in a way. So that's what we that is our aim, but that's not a permanent state. It's important that we develop our resilience, that we work on our mental capacity, on our emotional resilience, so that we can handle these different states, different stressors, different traumatic events in a way that we can manage as soon as possible. As actually not as soon as possible. It's not that important to. It's actually not good to speed up these processes that happen after some traumatic event or stressful event. It takes some time to adapt to new things, and that's normal. But people are usually not patient enough. We want answers immediately. We want things to go back to normal to the way they were before, and that's usually impossible because things change. That's impossible because things change. It can never be the same as it was yesterday. So what we learn is we learn really to adapt, and we learn to adapt in a healthful in a healthy way. We learn to develop these healthy strategies to manage ourselves and these different to manage ourselves. Yes, I mean it's a big question. It's a broad topic.
So it's a funny, but
the thing, yeah, something that this is what we want, but what usually happens is that we don't have the capacity to handle. What sometimes happens is that we don't have the capacity to handle these traumatic events. When it comes to stressful events, okay, we usually manage somehow, but when it comes to these traumatic events, we usually don't have these. We are not aware of the resources we have. We don't have enough resources. We need healthy community. We need a lot of support when it comes to managing these things. So what happens is that we develop some unhealthy strategies to manage these these painful, really painful emotions and these unpleasant feelings that we have. So we don't, because we don't want to feel it. And what happens is that it can become of our way of living. It can become of our way of living, and that's when we ask for help usually, because sometimes sometimes people lose hope that it can be better, but of course it can. But we need a lot of support, and we need new learning, new surrounding, actually, new. Yes, we need a lot of support, but it's possible, of course, to develop these healthy mechanisms within ourselves. We already have that, but we just become aware of it with the help of others and other things that help us.
So you mentioned something really interesting, surroundings. So that was one of my conclusions in one period. So if we really feel stuck and with too many challenges or problems in our life, do you think that some kind of solution could be changing the environment? So can you speak a little bit about that, and how do you support people in your practice to change the environment or in trying something new? Do you think that is a crucial thing to change in one way that kind of bad experiences? How do you support other people, and how do you explain to them that this is something that could help them to have another perception about situation that they are at this moment?
People usually feel that that would be a good way to find a new, as you say, perception, to find a new way of seeing things. People usually have that some kind of idea that it would be a good thing to move or get a new job, get a new place, and that would help them to resolve some things. But they usually need more support to jump up, let's say, in that new surroundings. What happens when we so this is the thing. We, in our brain, we have this detector of danger, let's say it like that. So when something traumatic happens, this detector helps us to differentiate between safety and danger in our surroundings. So it works all the time. So when I perceive something that I find that thing is dangerous, these adaptive mechanisms I have turn on. So I try to fight this danger, I try to escape it, if I can't do any of these things, I just go into this mode where I'm frozen, dissociative, and people call it depression, people call this anxiety. Nowadays, these new research shows that these are that these are adaptive mechanisms to this surrounding that we perceive as dangerous, that usually is or was. But if it still is, for example, we live in a household where there's violence, of course, that the first thing that we have to do, and there is no betterment, I don't know which word to use, if we don't change the environment, if we don't go to a safe place where we can turn off our adaptive mechanisms, our self-protective mechanisms, and just take care of ourselves and learn to take care of ourselves. Because when we are in these self-protective mechanisms, our capacity to learn is just not, we're not able to learn. We are not able to move in new directions, to creative problem solve, because the only thing that is important for us is to survive. is to find a way to survive another day, and another day. So we just fight, and our life becomes a struggle. So it's so important to find a safe place where we can, sometimes if it's not possible, then we try to create a safe place within ourselves, within our maybe with one person we have, or in a park outside of the building, or somewhere where we can start to grow, let's say it like that, and develop our resources. And as we develop our resources and capacities, then we have more strength. We are aware that we can move and we can choose what we can do with our life, and we can choose joy, we can choose freedom, we can choose better life for ourselves.
So when you say creating safe space or new space within ourselves, what do you mean by that? Can you give us a few examples if we are not able to move quickly in some environment physically? What we can do to create a space within ourselves? Can you give us a few examples how to do that?
One of the best examples is visualization. So we can use our imagination not to create worry and disaster, but to really use it in a way to create pictures that help us see better, literally. So I will come back a little bit to that question of mental capacity. I believe it's impossible to expand our mental capacity without our emotional capacity. So I studied different biographies of different geniuses, let's say, and these are people that had high emotional intelligence. What does it mean? Some research from positive psychology nowadays shows us that when we are in a state of, for example, fear, we literally see less. So our focus is just, we don't have the capacity to solve problems, or it's just not that, this. Okay, but when we feel, for example, gratitude, when we feel joy, this capacity to creative think, to problem solve, to make decisions is just better, and we see more. So what we do is, for example, we feel gratitude within ourselves. So we focus on our heart. And nowadays we have like HeartMath Institute, for example, that does this amazing research on this capacity to change our bodies literally by imagining these emotions of gratitude, of love. And another thing is that these emotions have literally different frequency, different, the energy is different. So this helps us to recreate ourselves, let's say it like that. So, okay, what happens then is that we again see better, and we find new solutions, we find new perspective, we find new places around ourselves that we haven't seen before. So the easiest way, for example, love is an example of I'll take love. Lately, I've been thinking about youth, how we perceive, when we are young, we perceive that love is something that comes from the outside. So somebody is going to fall in love with us, or we expect love to come to us from another person, but basically we can all feel love. It's something that comes from within. We already have this capacity to love, we're just not aware of it. So, for example, when I think about the things I love, I totally I have this different I feel safe. This is the safe place. I feel safe within my body. I just feel good. It just feels good. There's no, I mean, it's not difficult to understand. I mean, I feel love, I feel good. And that helps me to move in another direction. It helps me to find different solutions. It helps me to just yes, to feel better. And we practice this as meditation, for example, daily in the morning or whenever we remember it, and just it becomes a new information for our brain. It becomes new information for our body. And as if we practice this for, I don't know, half a year, we just don't feel the same. We are not the same, literally. And we can do things differently, and build, let's say, build safe places around us. We have more capacity to do that. Of course, it takes a lot of practice, but it's not that difficult, because we visualize, and at the same time we feel it. The difficult part is to feel it sometimes when we are disconnected from our bodies, but with practice, of course, it gets easier. We sometimes just need a reminder from outside, you know. Sometimes we need a stimulus from outside to remind us of love, of gratitude. And it's not difficult to find that reminder. For example, when we go to a walk, we see, for me, it's like whenever I go for a walk, when I see people who are homeless, for example, I always feel gratitude, actually, for the home that I have and for the bed that I just woke up from, that was so warm, for example, and that makes me actually feel good. It's maybe I should feel bad, but actually that helps me to feel better and then do better, because when I feel better, I'm more I have more energy, literally, to move and to maybe make a contribution to other people's lives.
So you think that people could be taught how to love and how to feel that love from the inside?
We just have to remember, it's not a thing that we have to teach. It's something we just forget to do regularly on a daily basis. I think that this pandemic shaked us up a bit, in a way that we are re-evaluating our values as human beings. So we have put these maybe gratitude. Maybe we forgot how to be grateful. Maybe we just forgot to be grateful, not how to be, but we just forgot to be grateful. So, for example, this pandemic really, during this pandemic, I became aware how grateful I am for my health, for example, and how that's a huge, amazing thing. And also we just forget, we cannot forget it, but yes, somehow we just put focus on other things, on some other values, for example, materialistic, like, I don't know, I have to do things, I have to, money is important, or this is important. But no, we now realize, okay, relationships are important, health is important, love is important, caring is important, compassion, and different other things that are truly important for us as human beings. Human beings.
So do you think that when we feel pain from the inside, or we feel really maybe anxiety or depression, that maybe we forgot about our true values. Is that something that could help us to not feel pain anymore?
It's a question that always comes up when we have anxiety, when we have depressive thoughts. They have a function and they have their purpose, and they usually, when we dig deeper, they take us to these places where we really do ask these questions. Okay, where am I? Who am I? Have I moved away from the things that are important to me, that I value, and how can I get back to what is important to me, and how can I how, this is important question, not only how, why, but how to live more aligned to my purpose, and the thing is that when we feel these emotions that are not pleasant, they usually come up from they are formed when we have these different interpretations about how the world should be, and I would say that they usually come from inaccurate perception. So they ask us to think about our beliefs, to question our beliefs about the world that we live in. For example, people that are that usually have that feel a lot of anxiety usually think that this place is not safe to live. For example, that people are dangerous. For example, this is my belief, because I had some experience in my life that some bad things happened to me, and as I started to believe that all people are bad. And that's not a supportive belief. That's not something that helps us to feel good about being human, actually, because we are also all people. So these things help us to actually question again our beliefs, and to come back to ourselves. Let's say it like that.
So I'm checking the time. So we already, I think, recording for more than 30 minutes. So I would like to ask you one more question, and then we can maybe conclude the conversation. I'm really interested in curiosity as something that saved me in a way, I can say that. And what do you think about curiosity? Do you encourage people to be more curious, and how? When you want to help people, I know that your main practice is helping people to understand themselves, and also to understand their perception, also to understand experiences that they are dealing with. So my question is, do you encourage people to be more curious about themselves and their lives?
My question is yes.
And how do you do that?
First thing, it's important to distinguish curiosity with being naive, because usually people have these experiences in their lives where they were naive, and it didn't went well, so they close up and stop asking questions, and that's one thing. And this other thing is this surrounding that we are growing up in, and this school system and our family systems, they usually don't encourage curiosity, because we have this idea that we are supposed to be we're supposed to listen what we are being said and not question things that are the way they are. So this comes with the tests that ask us things, and we learn that there's only one answer, and that answer is the only correct answer. So we just learn to take things as they are without questioning them, without exploring further, because there's no need to. Everything is delivered as it is, and you're supposed to just take it and go with it. But we cannot suffocate our curiosity, because it's just the way we are. It's just the way, for example, people sometimes say, I'm not creative. You cannot not be creative. It's just that you don't use your creativity. You're not encouraged to use your creativity, because. So it's the same thing with curiosity, and it's just about asking questions. It's just about asking questions without preconditioned ideas about how the answers are supposed to be. And because usually people, sometimes when people ask questions, they are not looking for answers. They are actually looking for confirmation of their own beliefs and ideas. And that's not curiosity. That is something different. So it's important that we never stop. We shouldn't make peace with full stop and that sign like this. No? So, there's question mark, there's full stop, and then there's the okay, so it's like this is like it is, and that's it. We need to ask questions. We need to put 3 full stops, because we never know if that thing also. I have to learn this science. So ask questions and be open. Of course, openness is one of the characteristics that also help us to dig in deeper and to stay with the unknown, to stay a little bit further with something that is uncertain, unpredictable. But we have to develop this capacity to this tolerance to uncertainty, because that's how things are most of the time, actually. Okay, there are some things that we know, but there are many things that we don't know, and we have this need to grow. We have this need to learn. All people have this need. It's basic human need to grow, to develop, and it's important to feed this need with different with good quality food and with yes, that's it.
So is there anything that you would like to share as a conclusion, or maybe anything, like if you want to say that comes to your mind to maybe help people to be a lifetime student in that, because we spoke about that curiosity and asking questions and having a tolerance for unknowns. So if there is anything that you want to share with people who are watching or listening this thought-provoking conversation.
One thing that comes up at this moment is that, and something we haven't mentioned, is that we have to face our fears. We have to constantly face our fears, and that's That's the way we deal with fears is just that we deal with them. There's no other way. We have to go through it. We have to face it. We have to acknowledge it and not to run away from it. Of course, we have a tendency to run away from it, but we usually have fear of the unknown, and we have the fear catches us when we don't know things. When we don't know something, we have fear from it. So the antidote for fear is learning. And yes, and not only learning as acquiring new information, because that's what we are doing nowadays, and we see that our brains are being pumped up, like we're building our muscles of the brain, but we're not building our hearts. So it's important that at the same time we build our hearts, let's say it like that, and cultivate love and cultivate gratitude, because these emotions literally help us to see beyond the fear, to see that there's more than we think of it when we think in this state of fear, if we can think, because we just usually have this pattern of overthinking when we are in this anxiety state or face of when we're facing fear. But it's important to dig deeper, to look beyond, to really question, okay, is this really so? And then to find answers in places, to search for answers in places where there's to try to find some deeper knowledge, not only information, but really to be patient. Actually, that's also important, to this patience, and let's say to be humble in a way that we cannot know it all. Some answers we will never get, and some fears will chase us for a long period of time and show up when we think that we think that we are brave, and we don't have that anymore, but they just show up, and that's okay. We just go for a new quest and start a new journey into something new, and that's life. And enjoy the ride. Of course, that's important to enjoy, to do it with love. Whatever we do, to just do it with love and enjoy. But when we do it from the fear, the quality is different, and we're just not happy, or from sadness or any other emotion, but some other these unpleasant emotions. But we can cultivate these pleasant feelings, and it's important to do that. It's okay to do that.
Yeah. Facing the fear, not run away. So I'm really grateful that we have this conversation. Of course, there are many questions that are coming to my mind at this point, but we need to stop at this moment. And I'm really thankful for your time, for I can say generosity to share these insights about your practice as a psychologist, but also your personal insights, because it's really when we open ourselves to share our thoughts, I believe that is something that is really personal. I mean, our thoughts that how we think about things. So I believe many people would find this conversation really helpful to think about stress, about fear, about loss. So I'm really grateful that you shared all this first with me, and then with all other who would see this later. So thank you, and I hope we would do this again.
Thank you, Mirela, for this safe place to express myself, and your openness to this generosity, yeah, from your side, to receive and be open to hear these things. Thank you so much.